Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story that starts with a funeral, but it's really about finding your voice when everyone else thinks you've been silenced. Grab a cup of tea, because this one is quite the journey. Imagine this. You're at your husband's funeral, a day already heavy with grief. Your son, Michael, gets up to speak. His voice is trembling. And then he thanks another woman. Not you, his mother. His father's wife of 40 years. But someone else. He says she was the one who truly belonged to the family. And in that awful moment, every single head in the room turns. They're all looking at an elegant stranger in the front row. A woman in a perfectly fitted navy dress. Her hair immaculate. A practiced sadness in her eyes. And there I was, the real wife, the mother, the caretaker, sitting off to the side, completely invisible. I was clutching my handbag so tightly, the leather actually creased under my fingers. It was surreal. Then came the lawyer. He delivered the news. My husband, Henry Lawson, had left everything, and I mean everything, to this woman. Not a single cent for me. And just like she'd already won, this woman, Claire Dempsey, stood up and hugged my son. My heart just sank. But then, I did something. I pulled out a sealed envelope, a second will. And in that instant, the room, which moments before had been full of smug smiles, fell utterly silent. The air just changed. Henry's death had been sudden, a car crash on a rain-slick road. The doctor said he didn't suffer, but honestly, after 40 years of quiet betrayal, I wasn't sure I liked the idea of him leaving this world so gently. For decades, I genuinely believed our marriage was solid. It wasn't a fiery romance, but it felt stable. Like an old house that creaks sometimes but still holds strong against any storm. I'd given up my career because Henry told me I didn't need to work, that he would take care of me, and I believed that lie, disguised as love. Oh, how I believed it. At the memorial, I wore his favorite gray coat, greeted guests with the same poise I'd maintained through every single humiliation, because appearances, for Henry, mattered even in death. Michael stood at the podium, in a dark suit, his voice calm and precise, speaking about his father's success, his legacy. And then, without hesitation, he thanked a special person who had supported his father through his most difficult years. For one fragile second, I thought he meant me. But then, he said her name, Claire Dempsey, and I watched as she stood up, so gracefully, dabbing her eyes, her ring catching the light. That's when the world truly tilted. It felt like gravity itself had betrayed me. The betrayal, I soon learned, went deeper than infidelity. It was erasure. When the will revealed she inherited our home, the vacation cottage, every single savings account we'd built, I realized my entire life was being wiped clean. And my own son, Michael, had known. When I confronted him, he looked at me with pity, not guilt. He said his father had his reasons, that Claire understood him in ways I never could. I was edited out of my own life story. That night, I sat in our empty house, the one I'd cleaned, cooked in, built memories within, feeling like I'd been living inside a play staged for someone else's benefit. But the next morning, something shifted. I started digging. In Henry's drawers, I found proof. Letters, receipts, photographs of Claire at the beach house I'd always thought was ***. Then, my neighbor, old Mrs. Hunt, mentioned she'd seen them together at Christmas years ago, when I'd been bedridden. The weight of that memory pressed against my ribs until I could barely breathe. 15 years of lies, woven so neatly into the fabric of our ordinary life. When I saw those photographs, Henry smiling, his hand on Claire's arm, my son, barely 19, standing beside them. It hit me. This woman had been infiltrating my family for over a decade. But that night, as I lit a candle and played a soft jazz record, something clicked. If my life had been orchestrated to someone else's rhythm, then it was high time I wrote my own melody. In the days that followed, I started tracing Claire's property purchases. Every single one was conveniently aligned with company projects my husband had managed. I found that he'd used firm funds to buy her a house. So, I called Ruth Carter, an old colleague from my consulting days. She helped me find the records, transactions disguised as consulting fees, 2 shell companies that led straight back to Claire. That was my turning point. I contacted a lawyer, a brilliant woman named Melissa Harding, who specialized in corporate fraud. Together, we built the case. Every invoice, every bank transfer, every photograph became a brick in the wall of truth. The day I filed the lawsuit against Claire Dempsey, the world finally felt solid beneath my feet again. It took months, statements, hearings, court dates, but when I stood before the judge and told my story, 40 years of silence broke open like glass underfoot. The judge, a woman who truly understood the quiet strength of wives forgotten by time, ruled in my favor. Claire was forced to repay every cent. Her properties were sold, her reputation utterly ruined. I never saw her again. Michael, my son, didn't speak to me for years after that. He was blinded by loyalty to an illusion. But time, as they say, has a way of clearing the fog. Years later, when his own father-in-law died, he called me. His voice was trembling, and he said he finally understood. We met at the cemetery, and he hugged me, calling me Mom with a sincerity I hadn't heard since he was a boy. I forgave him, not because he deserved it, but because forgiveness was the final, undeniable proof that I had survived. Years later, at a small family gathering, Michael teased me about my newfound calm. He said, "When did you get so good at speeches?" And I just smiled and told him, "I always was. You just never listened." That evening, as our guests left and the porch wind chimes sang in the fading light, I walked to the garden. There, an old apple tree bloomed stronger than ever. "Last year," I whispered to it, "I almost cut you down. But you bloomed early this spring." I smiled, realizing the profound truth at last. What still lives should never, ever be surrendered. I took off my shoes, felt the cool earth under my feet, and for the first time in decades, I breathed without permission. I wasn't Henry's widow, or anyone's shadow. I was Eleanor Lawson, the woman they tried to forget, the woman who reclaimed her name, her life, and her freedom. And the world, at last, was truly mine. What an incredible story of resilience and reclaiming your own narrative. If Eleanor's journey resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories of strength and transformation. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.